Hello and welcome to the channel. I am the gaming therapist, so let's talk about it. But before we do fully get started in it, obviously I gotta give a shout out to the game of the century for me, which is Dark Souls. I'm gonna be showcasing that
Ugh,
today. Yo, you get to see why I like it so much. But
sorry, was that loud?
uh
What?
was that loud? Yeah, I could hear your disdain for it, but nah, yeah, you're gonna get to see why I really like it so much. But any of you can answer this. Like, what's your general take on it?
Dark Souls.
Well, okay, you can. I mean, you can tell me about Dark Souls. What do you think about it?
Yeah, and that. So the first one I played was 3 as well. Um, Obviously you hear a lot of stuff about it in it, like hardest game ever, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And yeah, like I agree. I think in general games are quite easy. But I think with Dark Souls the difference is that's a game they've clearly from the off said we want to make this harder
Yeah,
than your everyday
exactly.
game,
That's
which
the
is something that
objective.
I
Yeah.
like. Which is whereas most games, like at the moment, I'm playing Final Fantasy, the remake, so it's like it's not meant to be a hard game. They want to take you through the story. But
Mm,
Dark Souls does it kind of opposite, where it's like this is going to be a hard game, and there's a story in there if you want to put the effort in to find it,
mm.
which I quite like as well.
That's exactly right. I think the way they've done it is just what makes it more intriguing for me. But again, I mean, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I get that, and I know
Definitely
that.
not. You die a lot.
I mean, it's inevitable, okay? In any game, like you fail, you don't succeed and stuff. But you get
How we
better.
see it now.
You get better with time. And I'd say I'm all right at it.
Crap. I'm decent.
Nah, you okay? Yeah, whatever. And you know what? Next, when I have a proper setup, like an Elgato and stuff like that, we'll do
Like
a
a
show
what?
Elgato. We'll do a
What the hell's an
showcase
Elgato?
of you playing games. It's a device that allows you to record gameplay and stuff. Like what Twitch users use and stuff.
Oh, that like bike, that like mic setup thing.
Yeah, yeah, but this one allows you to record
Capturing device for
yeah,
your,
exactly. It
like, so you
allows you
can
to
capture what's on your screen, basically.
yeah.
Oh right.
So when we have that set up, yeah, we'll be showcasing you playing some of these games maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I'm a
anyway,
just cause kind of guy.
anyway, getting on to the topic for today, again, it was about sort of attitudes and mindset, and more importantly, like how you manage positivity and negativity, in your own mind, your own thoughts and stuff like that. And just a quick, obviously, introduction to Bill's joining on this session. I obviously know him as Triple Kill Bills, but y'all can call him
I heard
whatever
that
you
name in a long time.
honestly, there's a story to all this. I will tell you one day when you're
When
ready.
you're older.
Yeah. But yeah, so for my first question that I got down for us is how in general have you managed negative thoughts?
I just get on with it
Mm,
without adding this deep story with it. I just get on with it. There's for me especially. I used to deep a lot of stuff, and I feel like that used to make it worse. So I just let it happen and just wait for it to go. Because I feel like either I try fixing it or making it worse. Either way, it makes it stay longer.
yeah, that is true.
Yeah, so your thought process is there. It's like obviously if it's a negative thing, don't feed it too much energy, regardless of your intentions. You're still feeding it energy, which is a valid point.
Yeah, so I used to do that. Like Precious, you know quite you know quite a lot.
Yeah.
I just let it be. There's always gonna be like, once you understand that there's always gonna be negativity. Like you're never gonna be at a stage in your life where it's all positivity. Like
Yeah.
there's always gonna be that balance. So the sooner you sort of try combating that, the better.
Mhm.
But it comes with time though. It's not something that'll just happen. It'll just happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like for me, like I used to like not enjoy, but I used to like just like bask in the like negativity back in the days because I never really saw like any like I never took positivity as a thing I could like allow myself to have because I always said to myself it's better to be like disappointed in for like in preparation so that when you are disappointed in something, it doesn't
You
really
kind of expect.
affect. Yeah, exactly. You expected it anyway. But having that kind of mindset for me, like it slowed down obviously a lot of things. Like it never allowed me to take up opportunities and stuff like that. And I think that kind of just reflects how I felt, in consideration with how I've been with the roller coaster sort of I've had with my illness and stuff like that, sickle cell. So, like when you go into hospital and you sort of feel like you're back at square one and everything's resetting, and it's just like that's where a lot of like my negativity came from. So it was much harder for me to ever think fully positive about something because then I'll just be like, oh, it won't even last long. It's gonna be it's only a matter of time before I'm back to square one. So that's where a lot of my sort of negativity came from. But
Yeah, like I remember like even like say 6 months ago, you used to be like that's if we're all being honest here, innit? Like you used
yeah,
to be like
straight up,
really
yeah.
really plain, like you wasn't really up to do anything. I mean, at least I didn't call
Yeah.
you vanilla this time, but
Okay,
uh,
yeah.
you didn't really like doing anything, like any ideas we kind of
Yeah.
had. You would just kind of
Brush it off.
be on autopilot and just say yeah kind of thing.
But
But
I'd never really consider. I mean, I did. It's just that, to me, it was already like just a no. Like I just didn't feel like doing anything. But I mean, I've sort of overcome that now. It has taken time to overcome these things. Just like you said,
a bit too much.
huh?
What?
A bit too much. I mean, every person needs as much time as they need in it to
Yeah, 100%.
to overcome from
No, I'm
something.
joking. No, I do agree.
Mm.
Um,
How about you, Bills? Like, what are your views on that?
I'm quite the opposite of what Kayum said. I tend to pay a lot of attention to the negatives.
Yeah.
I was actually discussing this yesterday with someone in terms of obviously everyone reacts differently, which is something we've kind of touched on and is obvious, like it's an obvious statement in itself.
Yeah.
But I tend to give a lot of energy to the negative parts of whatever. It takes away from the positives is what I'm trying to get with at the moment.
Yeah.
Like for anything, a piece of work, a relationship with anyone, an issue, like I end up feeding those negative. I could do 99 things right, but if I do one thing wrong, that's all I care about, and I don't
Exactly.
realize
Yeah.
I've just done 99 things right. It works both ways. I think if you feed too much energy to the positives, then you're not going to build as much on whatever you're doing. But at the same time, there's definitely a balance to it. You have to stop and appreciate what you have done as well sometimes, and then keep moving. I think the most important thing is we keep moving.
Yeah, definitely.
That's where I've like in my opinion, I've tried to, like I'm saying, trying to work on that side of something's gone wrong and trying to stop being as illogical or as emotionally invested sometimes and just kind of looking at the bigger picture and some sort of strict rules that you can apply to it where it's like, all right, that's not a good thing. Can I do anything about it? Could I have done anything about it? And just keep moving, take it on board. And it's all part of your own personal development as well, obviously.
Yeah, that's definitely a more constructive way of sort of tackling it is when you are able to sort of step out of the normal way of you think about it and sort of evaluate what you can do. And just to touch on something you said about like, it also depends how emotionally invested you are in sort of like what it is that's
Yeah.
affecting you. So I'm sure like Kaim, you've told me about like how you can get invested in people, but then when sort of like you don't feel like you're being invested back into as well, you don't feel, you feel that sort of like you feel bad about yourself because you think there might be something wrong with you, right?
You're not wrong in what you've said, but it is true,
Yeah.
and it still does happen till today. But sometimes you just don't see it coming. It kind of just happens, and then once it's done, isn't it? And then I feel like because of that, especially like this year and sort of last year as well, like I've been more reserved in what I do, who I talk to, that kind of stuff. So I'd rather speak to like a few people rather than having a big circle. I used to have a big circle, don't get me wrong, but that circle, like the shape it is now, is like not even it's like a dot. It's like a full stop.
The dot. No,
Yeah,
but
it's just one of those, isn't it?
yeah, it's completely understandable. And again, it just comes down to, obviously we all handle it differently. Some people can look at it constructively. Some people can be emotionally invested in it, so it's harder to gauge like how they can handle it. But it all comes down to time as well. Like for me, especially with time, a lot of things have like come to light, or I'm seeing things differently and being able to manage things differently. Obviously, like I'm not like expert on it now, and I don't think anyone can ever be an expert on it, but I just feel like at the end of the day, it comes down to you on how you manage it.
Yeah, 'cause with the time, like you get experience as well. That's the whole point of it. Depends what you're doing that time. If you want to pay attention to stuff that is feeding negative energy towards you, then that's what you will do.
It will take you a much longer time to like sort of recover or to be able to see things in a better perspective, because again, it's just taking you that long because you've not sort of done anything changing it. Huh?
Precious.
Huh?
Hello. Oi.
Well, hello.
Why did it just went quiet?
I could hear Bills. I could hear everybody.
Yeah.
It just went really, really quiet.
Have any of you sort of got any questions in regards to like the topic?
No, I think
I do, but I feel like we've kind of addressed it already.
Yeah, I had more questions, but I was like, oh wait, everybody's answering all the questions.
we asked one question and then we answered about 13 of them.
I was like, wait, don't answer all my other questions. What's going on?
No, because we just kept connecting the dots in it. It just kept going, and I was just like, you know what? There's no stop. It now. You might as well just let it go.
But you know what? That's the thing as well. Like, if it just connects, it connects in it. There's no point me like stopping everybody midpoint and being like,
no,
okay.
True. It's true, but then it's just like sometimes when you're just looking for like that bit to jump in, and then you have to just like wait for it.
Anyway, like okay, then in closing to that, what do you think are the like 3 main points you'd say to somebody if they're having negative thoughts? Now the hard question comes in.
I don't know. There's no right answer to that.
Like for example, what advice would you give to help someone get on a like being more critical about their sort of how they manage negative thoughts, like being more constructive?
I think for me, what? Sorry, you go.
Yeah. All right. So how I see it is, like I'm not gonna lie. Me and my mum used to talk a lot about this, and my mum used to be like, kind of look at yourself as another person. like put yourself as like a third view, and then imagine that happening to you, like you seeing it happen. Like sometimes when it's happening to you, you don't actually realize it until it's happened. But when you kind of look at it from another point of view, you'd be like, what, like what the, like why, why am I going through that? So I use that a lot, and it helps me out. It's not perfect, but it does something. It does more than any other thing has.
Bills?
Yeah, I think that's a good point where, again, you got to remember how every individual responds differently to every single thing that impacts them. But it can be hard to help someone else figure out what's best for them if they don't already know. Like my go-to is I've got a set of people I'm quite close to and quite open with, and I know when I speak to them, because they know how I am in most ways, it'll make it easier for them to help me. But in terms of if I was having to offer advice to someone, definitely be a case of like my go-to at the moment, which is look at the logical side of things, like what happened, like what has actually happened, not how you feel or not what you think or anything like that, like no speculation. Sort of what is actually happening and what can you do about it, because if the answer is not much, then I think it helps people realize quite quickly that they're putting a lot of energy into that for no reason.
No, it's true. I actually agree with that. My go-to guy for a very, very long time was actually Precious, and even though a lot of the time he'd just agree to whatever I was saying, like he's always been that go-to guy for me. I've never really had like a group or another person, so yeah.
What I can sort of say to that is that again, only from my perspective, obviously for like just as you said, it is a case by case, scenario where, everybody has their own ways, and you can't definitely tell, okay, this is going to work for you. This is going to work for you. No, it's going to be, different for everyone. But yeah, it's just important to always let that person know that, negative thoughts are not unnatural. It happens. It's just there. You can't stop them. You can't block them out. They will be there, and it's just how you go about dealing with it that matters the most. Whether you invest energy into it, whether you are able to look from a third person's point of view and say, is it actually something worth putting in that much effort into, and how can you constructively turn that around? Some people have been thinking like that for years, and it's not gonna happen in like at a snap of a finger that they're gonna all of a sudden change. Nah, it takes time, and those are the three main things I can point out: is time, it's a natural thing, and it's a case by case situation where everyone has their own way of dealing with it, really.
Yeah, I agree. People who are a lot younger, it's really easy to just like let emotions for you. Like you'd never actually take that logical approach, whereas now we can sort of do that. Whereas before it was kind of just, dark room, headphones.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Basically, yeah, that was kind of like the go-to resolution for everything.
But yeah, so to bring to a close,
oh God, not this part.
I enjoy this part.
I know.
So, Jonah, and Jonah, take us out.
Yeah. Be happy. I'm joking. You do it. I don't even want to try because you just cut me off anyways.
What are you doing? An outro?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'll do it. What do you want me to say? What vibe are we going?
Do not listen to pressure. Just
is it relevant to the topic?
Think about it and do it. Do not ask for permission. Just do it.
Alright, cool. I got it. Listen up, everyone. It's your guy Bill. Stay safe. Stay home. Stay quarantined. Stay locked down. The quicker we get through this, the better, and we can all do it together. Stay positive vibes only. Like and subscribe. Everything you need down below. Keep it true.
Ooh, this guy's already a professional.
See, because he didn't ask you for advice.
All right, all right.